Good evening, my name is Tony Jones, and you are tuned in to the Coalition, where we discuss all sides of local, regional, and national news, politics, and current events. With me in studio is Christine. Chris, good evening.
Good evening, Tony.
PO taxpayer, he is allegedly en route to the studio. Now, he may have been droned.
Droned?
He may have been droned.
I see.
And... you know,
well, P.O., if you're out there listening, we are thinking of you.
P.O. taxpayer told me earlier this evening that he was traveling this week and he wasn't feeling well. So, of course, what I had thought was P.O. taxpayer has crabs.
Yeah, that's exactly the first thing anybody would jump to as a conclusion. I thought maybe, that vein in his forehead that keeps throbbing and finally burst out.
Finally, it just exploded
Bam,
all over
the inside of his beautiful car.
It was like a Gallagher show.
And sadly, no one was there to see it.
Hey, I just want to remind everybody that coalitionradio.us is coming along quite nicely. So we have podcast content, blog content, links to different causes. So coalitionradio.us, it's your destination. And I have to, if you're listening live right now, illegally, well, I'm in the spirit of the law. If you go to Rhode-IslandFreeRadio.org, RIFreeRadio.org, I'm running my clandestine transmitter today in my neck of the woods. So along with coalitionradio.us, RIFreeRadio.org, both coming along nicely. And Chris, can you believe, as I click on it live right now, we are, of course, over the air and over the internet, this is the 24th Coalition.
Wow.
Since we started counting here. There were a few other coalitions
at a previous venue.
Kind of sucked. But we are on the 24th solid coalition this evening, and I want to thank you all for tuning in and hanging out.
Yeah, I think the 25th would be our silver anniversary then.
Yeah.
So we should all exchange quarters or something.
Pat should bring in, P.O. should bring in silver dollars for us all.
That's right. That's what, shiny silver dollars.
Like an
he
old
just
grandpa.
texted me. He said no drone. So apparently he's still alive, but we anticipate him momentarily. So if you're a P.O. junkie, never fear. He's on his
Nation.
way. That's right. If you're part of P.O. Nation.
We have a huge event coming up, which we're going to get to in a little while with our in-studio guest.
Huge.
However, I want to talk about the fact that I feel guilty. And Chris, I don't know how you feel on this. Maybe you can back me up. Maybe you can shoot me down. I could personally give two craps about the Olympics and television in general. And when I tell people that, they've kind of been calling me out and telling me, what kind of an American are you for not caring about the Olympics? And it's just, I tried to watch. I'm not much of a television guy anyway. I tried to watch a little bit.
Right, and you're not much of a sports guy either.
No. And it's what I was looking for actually was Saturday Night Live, which I am a Saturday Night Live guy. So I went to turn on Saturday Night Live, and there was the Olympics, and I said, I'm going to watch a little bit of this. It was absolutely awful and painful.
Awful and painful in the boring sense or in another sense?
Just the actual whatever was going on at the time was painful. The commentary was pretty painful.
So basically, it's like watching any American sporting event.
For me.
Yeah. Same for me, to be honest. In general, I hope our men and women do well over there, but I can't bear to watch it for the most part.
At least with the Summer Olympics, I don't want to sound too perverted here with two ladies in the room, but at least with the Summer Olympics, there are scantily clad athletes involved. The Winter Olympics, everybody's covered on up.
Well, that's not necessarily perverted, because that's actually true for us as well. There are scantily clad people of all genders at
Pole
the Olympics.
vaulting.
Right, pole vaulting. Well, the gymnasts on both sides.
Yeah, or beach volleyball.
I forgot about beach volleyball. Say no more. Well, I guess you're not an ice skating fan then.
No,
I like the ice skating because at least I get it. You do a good job. You don't fall on the ice. I can see why somebody, gets a medal for that. It's athletic. It's difficult. It's pretty. I'm a chick. What can I say? A lot of the other stuff, I'm glad somebody enjoys curling and I'm glad people play it, but I don't really want to watch it.
Yeah, maybe just out of morbid curiosity, I could get into a little curling, which there is a Providence Curling Club.
Huh.
Maybe that should be my
Actually, yeah, maybe we should have them in as guests sometime.
Hopefully they'll sweep up on their way out. Studio's getting a little ratty.
The problem with the Olympics for years, not as an event, but as Americans show it on television, is it turns into this massive jingoistic, you're with us or you're against us kind of a thing. Almost nothing gets discussed but how the Americans are doing. And it's a little tiresome.
The fact that we can actually say the word Olympics, I guess, is a step in the right direction, though, right? Because when that big game happened a few weeks ago, we weren't even allowed to say it.
In theory, we weren't supposed to be saying it, and Stephen Colbert made a good joke about that. He was calling it the superb owl. He moved the B from one word to the other.
I can't understand how, and with the big game and with the Olympics, how these companies and some locals like Alex and Ani just dish out huge money to sponsor and have their ads run during these painful events. Because
they're painful events to you and me, but people really do enjoy them and they watch them. And if you have a mainstream product like Alex and Ani jewelry, that is the market for you. If you sell Budweiser, that's the market for you.
It just doesn't.
It makes sense. I don't own Budweiser, so there's no reason for me to be putting ads on for that. It
doesn't seem like, especially this year, that anybody's really paying attention. But maybe I will admit I am a little sheltered. So
we think of you as sheltered here. So.
That's part of the problem of pretty much having a schedule where you work 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. You really don't get to partake.
It's true.
But I don't want to partake, so I guess that's...
Yeah, so it all works out fine then. The Olympics are for people who enjoy those particular sports or who enjoy the pageantry or that whole rah-rah USA, USA. Years ago, we beat the Russians, and now here we are in Russia again.
Now, the strange thing is that I do love me some professional wrestling.
Oh, so how do you feel about Olympic style wrestling?
Well, it just brings too many. This could possibly, we're talking about professional sports, and this could possibly be the most least professional show on radio today. How are we still here?
Yeah, how do you,
I thought we were talking about sweaty men wrestling.
Well, professional wrestling is the least professional sport, so that works out well. Welcome to the studio.
If you didn't hear the earthquake,
yeah.
The taxpayer has arrived.
Hey, 5.5 hours ago I was in Rochester. That's not bad.
And boy, are your arms tired.
And no, I did not get droned.
Well, we're relieved to see you alive in the flesh.
Yes, it was in lots of flesh. It was intriguing listening to the show on the way in. I applaud the effort. Absolutely. I'm still. I heard you talking about the Olympics, Tony. I'm still getting over the Russian army performing Daft Punk.
That thing was creepy.
If you're of a certain age, as in old, all right, the Russian army was the most lethal, feared fighting machine
now
in
look
the
at
world.
us.
All right, now, how does the song go? I'm only here to get lucky.
If you were in the Russian army right now, I'm sure you would feel that way too. What's the glory in being in the Russian army these days?
I join you in your slam dunk on the Olympics. The other thing I don't understand is the whole notion of someone spending their entire life focused on one thing.
Working at Home Depot.
Right. Working at Home Depot so that they can, I don't know, professional curling, men's Greco-Roman snow wrestling. I don't understand why you would spend your entire life to the exclusion of everything else for one moment.
I spend my entire life on AM radio, so I guess I can't.
Oh, that's right.
I guess I can't dig.
When you think about it, if you have any major obsessive sport that you're particularly good at, there's no reason not to throw yourself into it and go for the gold. Although, interestingly and sadly, a lot of people win gold medals and then get profoundly depressed.
Right, because they're done.
Now what?
Yeah, they're done. I mean, at least Mark Spitz was a dentist or something like that.
Right, but I think Greg Louganis fell into a tailspin for a while. A few others did.
There's only so many reality shows to go around.
Right.
Where is Mary Lou Retton right now?
Once you hit the top and you've been acknowledged as the top,
well,
you're going to wait 4 years for the next one, I guess. Woo-hoo, but...
And wait again. And I mean, we've got Olympians now who are in their 3 and 4 Olympics. I mean, wasn't it supposed to be for, one? I don't know. But speaking of Olympics, Tony,
Boycott the Olympics.
If there was an Olympic sport in Rhode Island, it would be pensions. But
it's a secret sport.
Well, it's we're not part of the He-Man Woman Hater Club. We're not the Chief Buffalo of Water Buffalo Lodge, so we're not entitled to the real information. But there was Gina Raimondi, all right, whose entire campaign was focused on this effort to reform pensions, just saying, okay, I'm running in a primary, unions. Okay, never mind. My hat's off to the Cranston Fire Department. Even up in Rochester, I was able to find out that allegedly the Cranston Fire Department is not going to participate and is actually going to continue the lawsuit. Now, as someone who just sees this lawsuit as just a radio gold, I mean, again, it's like the Iran-Iraq war. Can they both lose? I call on the masculinity of all employee unions who work for the state of Rhode Island. Aren't you man enough yet to sue the state? Time to man up, sack up. What are you afraid? Are you afraid-y cats? Are you afraid of Gina Raimondo? Now, to Gina Raimondo, I would say, fight the good fight. Yeah, don't let them cave. All right, don't cave into union interests. So there is still the potential.
Well, you just enjoy the fight.
No, there's still the opportunity for mutually assured destruction here. And that's ultimately what we're gearing for, isn't it?
Well, it's what you're gearing for. I can picture you out there in your Adirondack chair with a big bowl of popcorn,
No, not.
And the beer of choice. And
popcorn's off the list, too, now.
Oh, is it off the list?
Yes, it's off the list after last night.
Alas.
So, I mean, you've got the specter of pension reform looming large. And still, what folks don't understand is that the state still has to vote on this. It's not a done deal until it's signed into law. This is just a compromise made by a bunch of people. So call your state legislatures, agitate a lot. Whatever your state legislatures are for, you should be against.
My state legislator doesn't take my calls anymore. I'm not sure why.
Is it the court order?
The restraining order, yeah.
Listen, my state rep, I actually had a almost friendly, semi-icy conversation with, because she alleged that I hung up on her yelling after she voted in favor of casino gambling. Because after a 2-hour discussion pointing out all the issues, the social costs, the failure in economic development, all that, she voted yes anyway because they told her it was all about the revenue.
And of course, we can't think of any other sources of revenue.
Right. So,
or ways to use our money more intelligently.
Now, Lady Macbeth had promised to call me back this week about the fiasco with the RIEDC. Now, I understand that with all the other fiascos going on, that this may be on the back burner, $300,000 compared to whether or not to continue the lawsuit against Kurt Schilling or not. Who's, I don't know. I mean, anyone hear how Kurt's doing?
I remember reading an article that said he had just gotten out of surgery and was, quote, doing well according to his children. I'm glad he's doing well.
He needs to continue to do well.
He needs to continue to do well.
So he can sue his pants off.
Right.
Okay. So that's enough for Kurt Schilling.
Those things aren't related. We shouldn't make a decision about whether or not the lawsuit goes forward based on whether we feel sorry for him because he has cancer.
I just want to see him suffer. That's all. I mean, I see him twist in the wind. I mean, if hopefully people will be mature enough not to wish physical ill will, if for no other reason than we want him around for a long time to beat him. Beat him. I had the opportunity a few months ago to call into a sports radio show, and if you've ever listened to sports talk radio, I mean, if you think we bloviate about politics, oh my God.
They bloviate about sports and politics, which is kind of baffling because
they know little about either.
Yeah.
But
actually, why don't we start a sports show?
How about a sports politics show?
Because we all love sports so much.
Well, I called in, and I had the temerity, the sheer gall, the nerve to posit the idea that maybe Kurt Schilling shouldn't be elected to the Hall of Fame because of the fraud that he had perpetrated on the people of Rhode Island. That didn't go over well.
I could see that not going over well.
Yeah, no, particularly since it was a Boston radio show and they were all laughing at us anyway.
Right.
So it
they turned them away.
Yeah, they have a right to laugh.
True. That is true.
Massachusetts did not give him a big massive check and say, here,
In the land of fanboys, they were even smart enough to turn him away and say, check out Rhode Island, check out these fanboys.
Yeah, Kucheri loves you. Governor Kucheri, huge fan.
Huge fan. Oh, and by the way, on an additional note, for all you folks down in South County listening, I want you to know that an announcement under the kind of semi-covers of the pension agreement was that the turbines that are being procured for our own little offshore wind fiasco are coming from Europe. I thought Don Kachiri promised on like the secret blood sacred oath. All right,
on the bloody sock of Kurt Schilling.
On the bloody Kurt Schilling, that Rhode Island was going to become the center of the turbine industry. Don't you remember that, Tony?
The Deepwater Wind people love me, as you know, P.O. So.
I bet they do.
I'm
all in favor of green technology, but I'm not in favor, we've talked about this before, of these deals to companies where all the commitment is one-sided.
Oh.
People promise us stuff, and we don't get what they promised, and mysteriously we have less money.
So you mean we're let me get this. We're socializing risk,
yeah, exactly,
and privatizing profit.
Mm-hmm.
Now, us libertarians, we have a term for that. We call that crony capitalism.
Right, and there's crony capitalism these days, top to bottom, in our government.
That should be on the sign with "Welcome to Rhode Island."
Yeah.
Well, it's nationwide at this point. We've got so many senators and Congress people and presidents and presidential candidates who are getting the majority of their money from big businesses. So are we surprised that big business repeatedly gets favored?
Well, the National Chamber of Commerce has essentially come out in favor of Obamacare.
Yeah.
The National Chamber of Commerce has essentially come out in favor of...
Because the National Chamber of Commerce itself probably gets a considerable amount of money from pharmaceutical companies, which benefit from everybody being on private insurance that they're forced to have.
Right.
The insurance companies complained about it kicking and screaming while simultaneously thinking about ways to distort things so that they can
never let a good crisis go to waste.
Right, exactly. So they,
Well, the National Chamber of Commerce is also in favor of, and I'm doing air quotes here, immigration reform.
Which basically means whatever people want it to mean at the moment they say it.
You mean like hope and change?
Kind of.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, immigration
in theory, I'm in favor
reform.
of hope and change, but of course hope and change means whatever the person hearing wants it to mean.
Yeah.
And that's the political strategy these days. You speak in big, glowing, vague terms, and both sides of the aisle do this, but you speak in big, glowing, vague terms and hope that the people out there listening attach their own meaning to it and don't notice that you mean something completely different by it, or you haven't finalized your plans because you're waiting to see who gives you the most money.
Libertarians never do that. We can't agree on anything to actually speak in glowing terms.
You're actually in favor of not being in government.
Right. So
we had a guest here who favors anarchy.
You have a co-host who favors anarchy.
Well,
I'm sorry,
not to the
two
extent
co-hosts who favor anarchy. And on a related note, and we have a guest sitting to the next to us who's an anarchist. So, nanny.
Before we move on,
really favor anarchy.
Before we move on, P.O., I just want to give you a quick update from the Raimundo campaign. Pot roast in the slow cooker today.
Oh my God!
Seriously.
I have a term for this that I can't say on the radio.
Are we sure this is her real Facebook page and not a spoof?
No, that's the real deal.
And there are her two children.
Yes. Well, I'll stand by what I said before. They must have conducted focus groups that said she seems smart and competent but cold.
Or she's trying to appeal to fat guys.
Well, same thing. She's trying to appeal to people who think she needs to be more like a mom.
And you have the opportunity to weigh in and comment below with your tips on how to make the best food in a slow cooker.
Because that's what's really important in a future governor.
Well, along those lines, Michael Sullivan, the hirsute councilman from the People's Republic of Providence, who is allegedly going to run for mayor, afforded me that same opportunity to weigh in on any one of a number of posts he made. Now he doesn't. Because I weighed in.
And now you're blocked.
No, I'm not. But that's why God invented alternate Facebook identities.
Don't give away the ghost here.
But, in a final question to you guys before we get to our guest, this week also, or the last week or so, also saw the announcements of what alternate vehicle usage identity forms for folks who are not properly invited to the United States, i.e., wannabe driver's licenses for illegal immigrants.
Fake driver's licenses for illegal immigrants?
Well, not fake because they're issued by the full faith and whatever of the state of Rhode Island. So that means
so they're not forgeries, but they're driver's licenses for people who aren't supposed to be here.
Well, if you draw the analogy that if a government backs up a document, therefore it can't be a forgery. But Rhode Island essentially is a forged government, so therefore any of the paperwork they issue has no credibility anywhere.
Well,
Does it really matter?
I'm trying to wrap my head around the idea of if you feel that undocumented immigrants should have some sort of
illegal aliens,
whatever you choose to call them, illegal aliens. All right, fine. If you feel that they need to have some sort of documentation saying that they can drive, is our government expecting them to walk into a DMV and say, "Hi, I'm an illegal alien. I need a fake driver's license"?
Well, I guess that depends who our next governor is.
But I don't get it. You're basically asking these people to walk into Mordor.
Yeah.
They're not going to do it, and I wouldn't blame them. If I were an illegal alien, I wouldn't present myself to a hall of government and say, "Hi, I need one of those bogus driver's licenses because I'm not supposed to be here."
Well, on top of that, since they don't seem to making any effort to criminalize driving without never had a license in the first place, what you're asking people to do, and here's the term I love from high school English, the willing suspension of disbelief. You're asking people who are basically driving around Rhode Island like it doesn't matter and beat up vehicles that can never, and I'm generalizing here, folks.
Yeah, of course.
I'm trying to provoke Christine.
Yeah.
All right? Driving vehicles around.
He thinks I can't tell.
Driving vehicles around that, make me feel like that's right, I am in a banana republic. All right? Not having to pay insurance, not having to pay the dreaded car tax, not having to pay sales tax on their vehicle. And now all of a sudden they're going to want to do all that. Okay, sure.
Yeah.
How's that going to work?
It's kind of like when you're in elementary school, and by the way, as far as the immigration side of it, as you guys know, I don't believe in borders. I'm the opposite of everybody in this room in that I say, let them in. We're going to need CNAs. We're going to need people to work at Ocean State Job Lot. None of my
You're not
contemporaries
the opposite of me. I'm
want
somewhere
these jobs.
between you two.
Now,
Yeah.
It reminds me of elementary school where there's something stolen off the teacher's desk, and she says, I'm going to turn the lights off, and as long as it gets back on the desk, nobody's in trouble.
Right.
Except at my school, they turn the lights off, and they turn them on, and more things were stolen.
Right. Well, in this case, they seem to be asking these folks without papers to walk in broad daylight with the lights on and announce, hey, I'm not really supposed to be here, but apparently I need some sort of a driver's license-like thing.
Yeah. Well,
I just don't get it.
It'll be interesting to see if it makes it to the State House. The state's got priorities right now, and quite clearly they're all things calamari. So it's somewhere after they deal with the calamari bill, and then maybe they get around to dealing with the pension reform bill. Then they find new ways for Twin River to soak money out of us.
Get a hotel.
Right. Then maybe they'll actually bring this. So I think this is the...
Maybe we could pay the pensions in calamari.
Right.
That would work.
With the money.
And any of our other state-identified foods, like the Dell's lemonades.
If you notice, any of our state-identified foods have no presence anywhere else in the rest of the world.
I think that's the point.
Oh, okay.
The point is that coffee milk, nobody else wants to drink it.
Coffee milk,
but I have
Johnny
to say, the
cakes.
only thing that goes with two hot wieners all the way is a coffee milk.
So it's calamari, wieners, coffee milk, Dell's, and maybe that's why I was in the emergency room last night.
It could be. Well, I had my two all the way in a coffee milk last week at FET, and I'm still alive to tell the
And
story.
that's why you are the goddess, because let's just say that my wife can detect 1 part per million wiener sauce in our house. It's beyond EPA HEPA.
I actually used a wiener wrapper to get rid of the revolting pine cone air freshener smell in my car when I bought my car, and the guy I bought it from helpfully decided to clean it. And I was like, no.
Well, that begs the question: when we finally get merch here on the coalition, and we will get merch soon, I think the first idea is a wiener
scented
car freshener.
Yeah.
That's got legs.
I was thinking of a hookah with our faces on each of the smoking
Well, there you
devices.
go. There you go.
You can smoke out of PO. You can smoke out of Chris. You can smoke out of Tony.
Because God knows I blow enough.
That's kind of rude and a little perverse.
Well, on that note, now it's time to let's elevate this a few notches. We have a guest here tonight who are proud to say is also a sponsor of the Coalition on Talk Radio. Kristen, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Why don't you introduce yourself and tell us about... Let's start from the beginning, because a lot of folks, someone like myself who came from the more the libertarian side, where no one can actually organize anything.
Herding cats.
All right. we all of a sudden are coming into the same group, the same hangouts, the same places as the Liberty Movement. So tell us first about yourself, and then also about the genesis, if you will, of the Liberty Movement.
Well, my name is Kristen. I'm from Massachusetts, and I'm one of the Liberty Love Fest organizers. And first, I woke up. I think I've been awake most of the time. I was very busy raising my children, who are 25 and 27 now. But I think it was 2010 in Boston at a Boston Tea Party that Bob Dwyer had put on, and a bunch of people. I had met a lot of people. G. Edward Griffin, Oath Keepers were there. That's where I first was introduced to the Oath Keepers. So I basically just started getting into groups and going to... I was really getting into Ron Paul, and I was basically an independent most of my life. But I'm not, like you said, anarchist, but I'm borderline right there. But I'm definitely libertarian. I'm registered libertarian. So I started working on the Ron Paul caucuses for the delegates in Massachusetts, in Worcester, and that was our Liberty Clubhouse right in the middle of Worcester.
Let me jump in for a second. So much has been spun off of the first two Ron Paul campaigns, it would appear. It just seems like that's really the genesis for a lot of the, you've got the Ron Paul people, you've got now the Liberty people, you've got factions of the Tea Party, which are very Republican conservative oriented, and then you've got the Massachusetts Tea Party seems to be much more liberty-oriented.
Yes.
And then you've got the Oath Keepers. Is it fair to say all of this came out of the same kind of group and mix of people?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of intermingling of all the groups, and basically I think everybody should just play nice in the sandbox. You hear things about one group and another group, especially the fights with the Tea Parties and stuff like that, but basically we're all working for the same cause, which is liberty and freedom. And, all the issues that go around it, GMOs, chemtrails, the Federal Reserve, et cetera, can go on and on. But and there's lots of liberty forums all around. There's Porkfest in New Hampshire. I don't know if you've talked about that on your show. There's that in the Free State Project. There's lots of forums going on. I was just down in Long Island with a wonderful forum down there. And everybody has their own formats, and so Liberty Love Fest, I'll talk about that in a little bit. But we have a different format. Some are just all speakers, some are just all music, some are just a mix of music vendors. We do a lot of stuff together at the same time. So
your Liberty organization exists year-round in addition to Liberty Love Fest. Liberty Love Fest is really the culmination of the year's efforts and a great chance for people to get together.
Yeah, it started in 2012.
Right. So what are some of the things that, in terms of ongoing with your organization?
Well, basically it's intermingling, like Tony's Liberty Drinks. That was wonderful. That is basically what we like. We like to be face-to-face with people instead of, it's become such an internet crazy, you don't really interact with people. I'm old school. I like to get on the phone or talk to someone. Like I wasn't even texting you today. I was calling you on the phone.
You hear that, Tony? She likes the phone.
To my friend Mike Rollins and to a lot of libertarians out there, if you're serious about political organizing, you have to leave the house.
Yes, that's what I did. I drove an hour to get here.
The laptop, pry your crusty butt off the couch. Leave
Put on some clean pants.
Because ultimately, if you're constantly on the Facebook groups alone, you're really preaching to your own choir.
Right.
And how how then do you achieve any sort of outreach, education? So your organization then is a year-round group, is a mixed group of people from different.
Yeah, and the Liberty Love Fest organization is basically an event, and it's always been the same people. This Liberty Love Fest 4, it is the 5 people are basically from the original group. Liberty Love Fest did start, basically most of the people were from Rhode Island, and we haven't had an event in Rhode Island, so that's why we really want to make this a big event, just get Rhode Island on board, because you don't hear of any events down in Rhode Island.
Well, it's tough here. You are in, as we like to joke here, you are sitting right in the petri dish of
I've heard that before.
Socialism. I mean, we are the Iceland of socialism. There is a genetic purity to our socialism that is profound on two levels. Number one, a significant portion of the state has drank the Kool-Aid. Number two, because we're such a small state, you can see the effects of socialism. It's right in your face every day. 9.1% unemployment rate, a state who's got one of the highest bonded per capita liabilities in the world. The highest commercial property taxes in the nation are right here where you're standing right now. Essentially, all the failures, everything that's, you've got the demise of the African American and the minority families here in Rhode Island as a result of, Lyndon Baines Johnson's war on poverty. I mean, everything you'd ever want to see happens here in this little twisted little mess. And so as a result, since a disproportionate share of the people in the state profit from the mess in their own ways, it's difficult to get a foothold here.
Well, I'm telling you, I'm getting an education right now because I don't know too much about Rhode Island because I'm from Massachusetts, but I've heard that term quite a bit. Petri dish.
You'd be shocked because you probably think there's the notion of Taxachusetts that you're in this liberal hellhole, if you will. Well, welcome to Rhode Island, the Dumb and Dumber state, where we double down on stupidity every time because clearly socialism hasn't destroyed the state enough. We're going to do more of it because the reason why it's failed is because we haven't done enough of it.
It's like the hell beneath the hell.
Right, yeah, hell somewhere. I think Hellboy is actually running the state.
Hellboy would do a better job. I think part of our problem, it's if we changed it from socialism to something different, it would still be corrupt. It would just be corrupt in a different direction.
Potentially.
Yeah,
we libertarians think we're above that, though.
But I'll be interested to see what happens if and when you libertarians take over Rhode Island.
It can't get any worse.
I have a feeling pockets will be greased.
Well, every day,
and potholes will not be fixed.
Every day on the two northern borders of Rhode Island, on the 146 north into Worcester, and then on the border of Attleboro, every day thousands of Rhode Islanders, the tired, the poor, grab their few belongings, put them in their cart with their donkey cart, and struggle north to the promised land called Massachusetts. Anyway, some of the worst traffic jams in New England every day are these messes of beat-up junkers leaving to Massachusetts to draw succor, to draw some form of wealth to bring back to the home country.
Go.
I live on Route 16. I see all the Rhode Island cars going by every day.
It's
towards Boston.
We are kind of like the illegal. We do the jobs that Massachusetts people won't.
See?
You see? We are the illegal aliens of Massachusetts.
Right. I think you should apply for one of those.
We have to close our borders.
That's right. They're going to build a fence. Maybe Rhode Islanders can get a job building the fence that keeps us out of Massachusetts.
I wouldn't blame them.
Hey, as we go to break, our bumper music is from a performer that will be at Liberty Love Fest, so we're going to play that out for a little while. While we go to our break. Don't forget to check out coalitionradio.us, on Twitter at coalition_radio, and of course on Facebook, facebook.com/The Coalition Radio. Lessons unlearned. It feels like these pages are remaining unturned, but boys, it's no mystery. Children, I'm sorry to leave you this world in a state of disaster. It was given to me in a similar state, but I woke up so late in the game, now spiraling faster. 'Cause freedom's the definitive source for cannabis culture, with a print magazine, radio show, live events, and so much more. Check them out online at 13folds.com. That's the number 13, FOLDS.com.
My name is Angel Rach. I'm a mother of 2 teenage children, and I fought all the way to the Supreme Court for the right to use the medicine that saved my life. I've been permanently disabled for 10 years, with an inoperable brain tumor, wasting syndrome, and several other serious conditions. For 4 years, I was in a wheelchair, in so much pain, I couldn't even hug my kids. The hardest part was looking in their eyes and seeing how much they were suffering because of my medical condition. The medicine that gave me my life back and gave my kids their mom back was cannabis, also known as medical marijuana. With medical marijuana, I can walk, maintain my weight, and I can be a mom. Without it, my doctors believe that I would die. To learn more about medical marijuana, contact Marijuana Policy Project at 1-877-JOIN-MPP or on the web at mpp.org.
Hey everybody, it's Tony Jones. You know, when I'm not here yakking about politics, I spin records. That's right, if you like good old-fashioned rock and roll radio the way God intended it to be, then tune in to The Tony Jones Show. The information's online at tonyjones.org. That's tonyjones.org.
Heading out on the town tonight? Be sure to log on to providencenightout.com and don't forget to check their cell phone app. That's providencenightout.com.
Processions, transform your world with your selfless expressions. Reach out your hands, in time we'll understand. Children, one day I'll be gone, and you'll have to remember these words and be strong as you cling to each other, your family, your faith, and your father's song.
You are tuned in to the Coalition online at coalitionradio.us. P.O. Taxpayer is here. P.O., how you feeling? You holding up over there?
Living the dream, buddy.
Chris is here. Chris, good evening.
Good evening, Tony.
P.O., this very Tuesday night, your Congressman, David Cicilline, will be having a neighborhood conversation. That's the 18th, February 18th, 5:30 to 7 p.m. at Hope High School. So I just want everybody, especially everybody in our audience and any of my personal fans, I want them to know about this neighborhood conversation happening. I hope you can all make it out there.
You think we should go?
I think we should.
It's as a member of the press now. All right. What could we ask? What could we ask David?
So immigrants can get driver's licenses, and P.O. can't get a press pass.
Well, I can make you a press pass.
He already made me one with
Okay.
with a big star on it. And
Do you have a seedy-looking journalist's hat that you can stick into the headband? Yeah.
Me, seedy?
Yeah.
Come on.
No, I'm not calling
fact,
you
Tony-
seedy.
no,
Why would I ever say such a thing?
Tony's thing was even scratch and sniff.
Why would I say such a thing out loud? Put it that way.
Kristen, tell us a little bit about this music we played during the break.
Oh, that's Jordan Page, Message of Freedom, and he is our headliner for the Liberty Love Fest. And we haven't said the date, but it's going to be April 5th at St. Joe's Church, 1303 Menden Street in Cumberland, Rhode Island.
Menden Road, yep.
So that was, I just chose that one because I knew I was coming down here to talk about the Liberty Love Fest, because it's a message of freedom, and that's basically what we want to do is get the message out through our vendors, our speakers. I can say a little bit about what the night will be like, and the musicians. The musicians will be, all of them are libertarians or libertarian-minded, liberty people. We have 5 bands coming. And Jordan is our headliner. He is from Indiana. He'll be flying out from Indiana. He's on a whole U.S. tour right now called the Living Room Tours. He played in Massachusetts 3 times, played in Vermont just this past summer. I was one of the ones helping the Massachusetts shows. So I just picked that for that reason. And it's just all about I always say there's 3 things in the liberty movement or the freedom movement, whatever you do want to call it. First of all, you've got your activism, however you want to do it, even if you're behind the computer, if you're disabled or just want to be behind the computer all the time, or if you're out there on the streets, like I did a lot of Federal Reserve stuff, or if you go into forums, that's activism. And then the second thing is education. And that's basically, you have to educate yourself all the time, always question. Third thing is definitely have fun while you're doing it. So I think that the Liberty Love Fest does incorporate activism, education, and fun.
I don't want to reveal the specific number, but at the last Liberty Drinks, I hit a personal best for glasses of wine. We should have some kind of a raffle where if you
guess how many drinks Tony drinks.
Guess how much I had to drink, you can win a date with P.O.
I was there, too.
So tell us, what's on the schedule so far? I know it's evolving, but what's on the schedule so far?
We have the 5 bands. We actually, at Liberty Drinks, we met, I forget her name, I think it might have been Catherine. We might be trying to squeeze her on, too, but we met her at Liberty Drinks. But in between the sets, we're going to have open mic, so you can get up and speak, or if there was another person, there's another person I met there that would like to, that at Liberty Drinks, I just happened to talk to her, and she said she wanted to come up and sing a song. She's coming. I mean, we met so many people at Liberty Drinks. Thank you so much, Tony. That was awesome. And we're going to have artists and photographer. He does light photography. His name's John Allen. I'm hoping he's going to be coming. And the vendors, of course. The vendors are, I have a list in my pocket here. But the vendors, we just got another one that she's going to have information on GMOs. She just came on board today. So we're continuously adding vendors. And the vendors, if you want to go into www.libertylovefest.org, you can get a vendor table. It's only $100, but you get 2 free bracelet passes, which is worth $20 a piece. So, one person sits at the table and sells their merchandise, and the other person gets out to go enjoy the music, and then vice versa.
So if we buy a table, I'll get to sit there and do the merchandise, and Tony will be able to go out there and...
He'll be the drinker of the wine.
The imbibe. Right. Okay. That sounds fair. You've got quite a history with these. The first one was in 2012?
Yeah, first one was in 2012. We were in Worcester at our Liberty Clubhouse. There were a lot of us. Massachusetts had just redistricted from 10 districts down to 9, so towns were all messed up and people that didn't know what districts they were in. So we did a caucus, and basically that's what I was doing for Ron Paul. I had discussed that a little bit earlier in the show today. And then there was this, all these Rhode Island guys had come up, and they were renovating the 8th floor. Our Liberty Clubhouse was basically on the 4th floor. Renovated the 8th floor. I got up there and painted, and they made like nice little bar areas out of pallets, and it was just very creative. It was a very nice. Our painters got up and painted. The artists got up and painted walls, and it was just wonderful. And then we had the first Liberty Love Fest, and then a lot of Massachusetts people got on board too. Pretty close into that Liberty Love Fest 1, which was April 28th. But we worked really hard on the caucuses and the calls, and then we would be there. We'd do calls all morning, and then we'd go up and decorate and get get everything organized. We had a lot of guests: Gary Franchi, Adam Kokesh, Jordan Page was always our headliner. Tatiana Moroz. Luke Rodowski was there from We Are Change. Dan DeBonde from
Boy, you guys would let everybody in.
There were a lot of people, and it was like it was quite amazing. And we had 500 people because of the caucuses, and it got really advertised really well. So we had the second Liberty Love Fest, same location, and we got a little bit more involved and did a 2-day, more speakers. So and that was in August, and it was really not enough time to plan, but we did pull it off. So then Liberty Love Fest 3 was basically Jordan Page's living room tour, which I told you we had 3 in Mass. 3 in Mass was one, Vermont and New Hampshire, and I know there was another one. It might have been even Rhode Island. I don't think it was Rhode Island. So that was just Jordan there. They called it Liberty Love Fest 3. So now we've been working on Liberty Love Fest 4 for a while. So
do these parties ever get rowdy?
Yes. sometimes.
Some
Keo is
rowdier
smiling
than,
now.
Some
This is
rowdier
it,
than others.
Yes.
Okay. Fair enough.
This is at a church, though.
Yeah, you haven't been to our Rhode Island Catholic Church, have you?
Okay.
I assume it's in the church rec room and not in the sanctuary.
Yes, it's not in the sanctuary.
Yes, okay.
Sacrilegious.
Is
Say no more.
there going to be bingo?
No, there will not be bingo.
Liberty bingo? Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
But we're
Maybe you could start one. You could start Liberty Bingo if you want, Pat.
the Methodists, we don't do that.
That's right. You eschew gambling in all its forms.
In all its forms. How are ticket sales going?
we had a Valentine's Day special. We sold $188. We had it on a special $14.14 for Valentine's Day. So I don't know what that relates to in tickets, but it was 188. So you have to divide 14 into that, which is pretty good because so it paid for our venue anyways.
It's early out. So.
And the vendors are starting to roll the money in, and we're really counting on ticket sales. And a few people have put in a little bit extra money for sponsorships.